Hey there everyone, Merry Christmas to you. At least I hope it's Christmas. I'm trying to record this beforehand and get it scheduled to be released on Christmas. But I have some things from Dollar Tree. So these were $1. I don't even know if you'll be able to find them in the store at this point in time. We're going to jump right in to this package because the first thing we have to check, is it going to strip? So I got my little jar of Simple Green. In goes one so we don't ruin all 4 of them. And away we go. Let's see how that came out. Oh my, that came out really well. Yeah, there's bits and pieces here and there. But stripping it really works. It's just a little peach colored resin. So let's go ahead and do all the others. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. There's the walls. The red really didn't come off very well, but I'm going to be priming these anyway. And 2 more lamp posts. A Christmas tree. That worked really well. But they don't bend like bones. So I'm going to have to glue this one together once all these dry, and it'll be fine. So, continuing on. I've got one of the lamp posts here. And I've got it all primed up. I am actually going to be using craft paints for this. So this is a lamp black ebony from Americana. Just cheap craft store paints. And I'm not even going to use a good brush. I don't know that this is a bad brush. But since I'm doing craft paints, I really don't care. I'm not going to do anything fine. And I think this is a golden synthetic of my wife's that she used to use and gave to me because she didn't do any painting anymore. And I'm going to try to be a little bit careful up here around the lights because I'd like to leave those bright if I could. And what I will do is I will paint those combination of white and yellow, and I might actually use my good paints on that. But hope you all are enjoying your holiday. Hope you have time off. Or if you're one of those people like my brother who don't have time off, I hope you get some time off, at least next week or so. Of course, I'm mildly amused at myself painting it this way because probably not much different from what it came with. So, I didn't have to strip it actually, but it was really kind of thick paint. This isn't the thinnest paint in the world. It's a lot thinner than what was going on it already. Now this is the part where I actually have to start. Oh god, a lot of paint in that brush. This is the part where I actually have to start playing nice with all the paint. Not painting nearly as fast because we do want it to be nice. So I'm just going to go around the top here. Keep trying to grab it by that top end. And is it a hex? Yeah, it's a hex. So I'm just painting each segment of the hex, getting as close to that lamp window as I dare. I'm trying to keep the bristles out of that. Now, the bottom part. Get in all the little spots that I see that I've missed. And now I don't know if I want to try to... Yeah, that works. Just run up the sides the edge of the brush. Make a nice little pocket there. Try not to shake too much. Notice that little spot there. Actually, I should check it on the other sides. Yeah, just try to make it even here. I suppose I could try to brush it like that. Nope, that did not work. I don't know if it's worth my time to try to dig that out of there. Yeah, that kind of worked. I will have to go back in with some white paint or gray paint to try to get that back the way I want it. So I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing, which was just on the side here. Just like that, get that. I know this may be a little boring to watch, but it's been a while since I did this style of painting video where I messed that up again. Show every single little step. Hey, get the little top there. Give it a quick once over. Pushing the brush in where we find it. So, off that one sits for now. Because now we're going to switch gears. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I was opening a paintball. Gonna use some alizarin crimson because I couldn't find my brick red. Looks like the only other thing I've got is true red, and that's not really the color I want. Because, oh, I should show you. Got the Christmas tree painted all in green. We'll do something different with it. Actually, I'll paint some of the lights and things with the red that we're using here. Maybe I won't. I don't know. So we're going to be painting the bricks. And I'm thinking that this brush is pretty much just the right size to brush each brick. Probably not really, but that's what we're going to do. One thing I thought about trying to do was paint it all red first, and then try to paint the gray lines between it. I still may wind up doing that because this is not covering as darkly as I'd hoped. But still, we may get through this and decide it looks good enough. Flip it over so I can get some more bricks. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I was going to just leave that gray, but that's not really gray enough for me. Now let's see if I can basically just dry brush it here. Well, this isn't even close to dry brushing. It's called making a mess of things. Oh look, there's the pretty side. That back side was really ugly. So, that was practice. Yeah, that's the ticket. That was all just practice. So what we really meant to paint talk amongst yourselves while I concentrate. Yeah, that one is a big mess. We're hurrying on this one. I guess you could almost call this a speed paint running. I don't know what you would use this for. I honestly don't. Sitting there trying to think of, okay, once I get this painted, am I really going to put this in the display case, or am I going to do something different with it? I hadn't decided yet. And this is going to be ugly, but there's not a lot of definition on any of these bricks. I don't know if I could hit it with a wash of... Yeah. Wash of white. So that's just... I don't know, maybe it'll look better once we get some other colors done on it. And we're going to do the same black on it. I actually meant to do that first, but I got all excited about painting the brick. Oh, don't grab it by there, stupid. Ah. Thought about trying to use YouTube's basically live streaming service. I just set up a regular recording time to paint and just have a 2-hour block of me just sitting here doing nothing. Just rambling on and on and on and on and on. I don't know if that would be interesting to anybody. I did like that. Get down into the underside a little bit. definition on that side. Alright, so, ooh, I didn't paint any of that red. So let's do that while we still have the color on the palette. And I can't tell if this is good side or bad side. Doesn't matter. Paint the corner here. Paint that just a little bit down. I have some black still on my brush. Not into the black. Red. I see more bricks there. Brick there. Brick there. 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 You can see him, can't you? Of course you can. Try to get some paint up underneath this wreath. Maybe behind it. And I'm holding it by the top, which I said I shouldn't do. So there we go. So I'm going to stop the video here, but I'm going to go ahead and work on the other 3 lamp posts, the other brick wall, and maybe a bit on the Christmas tree. So see you around. And here's where things start to go bad. When my USB camera unplugged, it reset the microphone to the front mic on the computer, which has no front mic. So for the next 40 minutes, it recorded no audio at all. So now, for your enjoyment, I'm going back through and narrating 40 minutes of my video. Hopefully it's less than that as I chop it down and get rid of the chaff. So here we are. We've got the black lamp and just some apple barrel pumpkin orange. And we're going to start in, and we're going to paint the little panes of glass that are inside the lamp post. And of course, I don't know, I do not remember what I would be talking about, but I'm trying to paint on each of the inside corners and just make it a general clean little pane of glass. Don't really know what I can tell you about the process other than I think once I do this first one, I go in and I paint the other 3, and I really realized, well, let me stop for a second. This one right here is not going to paint very well. It's got the black in that pane, and it's kind of a bugger to cover over, so I think I had to paint this one 3 or 4 times in order to get it. Now I just painted a little bit on the top edge of that lamp post, so I had to wipe it off with some water. But anyway, I was going to say that what I should have done was paint the orange panes first and then go back over with the black and paint the rest of the lamp, because as we watch here, I messed the paint up several times on the black and have to wipe it off with water. And once I do that, the brush is really wet and it makes the orange really thin. So it's kind of a pain right through here. One nice thing about doing a little voiceover, and here I'm pointing to something but I have no idea what I was talking about, is that as I go through, I don't have to edit out all my coughs and things. So that's going to be a constant painting video, I suppose. But one problem with that too is you'll see me just pause in the video, like maybe right there. Don't know. Nope, was going for some more water. And I think I filled up that entire paint I just painted with water. So now I got to suck all the paint out. And of course it takes everything with it, and it's hard to paint over. So there's going to be spots in here where you just see my hands and everything freeze, and I do that a lot. I guess we're done with that paint, so I'm going to use the orange paint to do the light bulbs too. At some point in here too, I talk about how I probably should have washed the tree with a dark green wash or something, because there's little tool marks all over this poor little tree. And speaking of poor little tree, it was not a good cast or a good mold. They did it really quick, but you know, what do you expect for a dollar store item? Even then, it's $1/3 of a dollar because it came in a pack of 3 things. But these little tool marks are all over the place, and they're a little dark. You can kind of see little marks there, but there's a big, huge seam line, and it's a big flat area and a really ugly light bulb in a couple spots. And just so happens that all 3 of these light bulbs wound up on the same side of the tree. I was doing red bulb, and then the next one on the line was going to be orange. So that's what happens. And so we'll just move on to the little brick wall segments, and we're doing the same thing as the lamp posts. And again here, I should have painted the orange first and then done black over it, you know, painting from the inside out, which I didn't do. But that's the way it happens. And you know, I was trying to rush this to get it by Christmas. And when you rush, you do stupid, silly mistakes like this, so here we are. I suppose I could put some Christmas music or jingle bells in here, but a lot of the time on this I was silent anyway. All you'd hear is me getting paint from the palette and cleaning my brush, which I did not do enough in this video, but that's me normally. I think I probably hum a few tunes and just generally babble. So I don't know if that's even worth trying to put in. Yeah, just like random noises and beeping sounds. And guess I could put in some ambient noise like a fan blowing or a heater, or who knows exactly what. But that would just be filler and kind of silly. Of course, I think I just talk about silly stuff throughout this entire video anyway. And, you know, I find a little spot there that I miss, and a little spot there that I miss. I think that corner is a little thin, but that's the way it is. And, yeah, here I go back over that one lamp post that's got that dark black in it when I painted the lamp post itself. And other thing is the lamp post may switch in videos between, or not videos, but which one I'm painting, because I didn't, well, no, I got it stuck to the flooring, so it's good. I was going to say I don't know if it's the same lamp post each time, but Yeah, if it's on that stick, it is. I didn't bother putting the other 3 on that stick. Okay, then we start in, this is apple barrel again, with some bright yellow. And I'm going to paint the bottom parts of the lamppost panes. And this is just to kind of give it a nice glow. And originally I was going to try doing just a little lamp light in the center of each one of these panes. But then it eventually degenerates as I get sloppier and sloppier as I go around. And it becomes the entire bottom part of the pane, which, you know, really isn't that terrible when I finish all of it. Of course, if you were wanting to do this just spectacularly, you would do really ultra thin layers, like Kool-Aid thin, and just shade up the bottom to transition into the top orange. But I'm not doing that. This is just a little quick one-off, so I don't care that much. This is for my own amusement and yours. And here I'm going back and trying to make sure that everything's about level all the way around. And this one's a little thin, so yeah, just a little touch there, and like that. And so we do the same with the block wall, I guess. And kept talking about the little pillar things. I don't know what that's actually called. I'm sure someone does, but and don't worry, I can actually look this up in Google. And I think I do try to make this kind of in the center, but it doesn't work that well either. And here I get a little bit sloppy on the side, so I have to paint some yellow on there, or some water, and then go back. And because it's not taking too long, I go ahead and do the other pillar as well. Again, I'm trying to get it just in the center part, like a little flame, like it's a gas light. And since we've got yellow, we'll go ahead and make the next light yellow. And so I'm trying to see just right after the orange one. And to do this really well, probably should have primed the light a little bit with some white or something, because yellow does not cover green very well. I don't think green actually or yellow actually covers anything very well. So here I am just checking for each one again. And as I spin this, I notice that now there's no more lights really. So I think I found, yeah, that one at the top. So it is what it is, I suppose. Okay, so I let that dry, and using this black forest green from Americana, I just have a random assortment of craft paints. So that's why it's that green instead of any other green. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go over the Christmas bulb sockets and the line itself. The Christmas wire, I guess you could say, or lighting wire. What was that? Sorry. Mine's going blank, but don't really know how well this is, because that one right there is just huge. sticking out of the figure, but the rest of it is all really deep down embedded inside of it. But I think I do a decent job of doing that. I'm sitting here trying to use the edge of the brush to get that line done, but it gets embedded in here, and I switch over to this style. Well, I guess I don't switch over just yet. Maybe I do. Where I'm just using it kind of like a line brush. Yeah, here I am. And I don't get it perfect, but I'm not trying to get it perfect, really. I think I state multiple times in the narration that didn't record that I do have a plan for this after I paint it all, so I'm not worried about getting it totally perfect. And I really talk about that in a later bit on the brick walls. I'm trying not to do too much voiceover on this, but I realize kind of that the pure silence probably isn't great. You know, little ambient noise in the background might be good. I should probably turn on the heater. At least a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. I don't remember where it is in this video, but I keep hearing what sounds like a water dripping. And, you know, it's really bugging me. It may be a little bit later. But you'll be able to tell when it happens, because a huge camera shake when it does, because I push on the desk thinking maybe it's just things heating up or cooling down, and so I push on the desk a little bit to see if it's loose. I paint on a countertop on top of 2 file cabinets. None of it's secured. And it just slams into the back of, not the wall, but it hooks on the file cabinets a little bit more. I amuse myself sometimes, I think. Right there you see one of the little pauses I was talking about, where I removed me clearing my throat. I did everything from the point where the audio stopped working. I did everything in, you know, not concentric, what would that be? And it wouldn't be continuous. Anyway, one session right after the other with, 10, 15, 30 minutes in between each one, trying to let the paint dry. I've thought before that I should cut out all the little throat clearings ones as kind of a subscriber special or a joke video. Just be, 25 minutes of me doing nothing but clearing my throat in all the videos that I've cut out. Here I'm going back and I've turned it upside down from what I'd normally paint. At least I think it's upside down from normal, but I don't think it is. I don't know, I paint so many different directions. And that's just in order to find a little spots. Like, that's the top of the bulbs, and I realize I probably missed all of them, so I go check each and every one. Then on this one I notice that the wire's sticking out really far, so I try to cover it up just a little bit better. And that little white spot above the orange bulb there, that's just where the paint didn't get in, and I should have tried painting that over, but since the Christmas tree was used with a spray can, it's a can of Krylon camouflage green, I didn't think I could match that so well. And I don't know if I managed to cover that up with the super secret ingredient at the end. I keep alluding to that through the video that's now completely lost. But that comes into play in a little bit when I do a different color. And we'll get to that when we get to that. Just going around, checking all that. Satisfied with that, and we go to the lamp, but there's nothing there. We're done with that basically. So we're going to paint that same green on the little wreath on the pillar. And it's kind of hard because it's, you know, deep cuts and that sort of thing. And I'm going around the bow that's there because I'm going to paint that a bright red in the next segment. Or maybe it's this segment, I don't remember. I was trying to paint 2 colors at a time, or per session especially, just to save time. But I don't think I did because I'd let this one dry first. And I don't know what I'm pointing to there. Sorry. But then I do remember, oh yeah, I've got one on the back too. It was really hard to tell what part was the bow and which part was the wreath. And at this point it probably doesn't matter anyway. It's not going to be looked at that closely and inspected. I had to remind myself that the ends of the wreath need to be painted too. You can't see it at all right there, but wouldn't be able to see it much anyway. So now I think I'm clearing my throat again from the shaking in of my hand. And we're going to go in here, and I get fairly sloppy with it, but I get a lot on the cement top. Here I decide that my nice brush isn't working very well, so I'm going to go to my cut-off some plastic one to try to get in, and this is kind of what I use to dry brush a lot. That's where a lot of the sloppiness comes in. But like I said, I have a plan. Of course, then that plan goes about as well as the audio on this video goes. But I'll show that. I'm really laying the paint on thick. And of course, since this is not taking a whole lot of time, I'll go ahead and do the other one too, which my hand completely obliterates. All through this, while I'm painting it, I'm sitting here making jokes that, my intention was to make it look better than the quick and dirty paint job it came from the dollar store with. But I start laughing at myself because I really don't think I'm doing a better job than they did. It's thinner for sure, while I was editing this video, and it's kind of a spoiler, so put your fingers in your ear if you don't want to know. When I started editing the video, I had the very starting shots, and looking at it, it's like, oh yeah, I actually did quite a bit better than what I thought I did. And here I forget that the wreath on the back hadn't been painted, so I switched to the good brush again. But, I started out the video by actually taking it out of the packaging, and I really should have taken a before picture. Actually, I don't think I forgot that I painted the wreath. I think I just started with the whatever you want to call it on the top. And I remember thinking while I was painting that, and I didn't put it in this video, is I wonder if the inside is hollow so that you can plant those bushes on top, or if it's just some decoration placed on top like the wreath is. And, I have no idea why I thought that, or why it's even important to say now, other than filling space. You're welcome. But I know when I was growing up, we had a brick wall. It wasn't this wide, but a little wide, and it was a planter box, for lack of a better word. And here's that little stiff brush I had wasn't getting into the corners of that, so I did have to go over it with that and realize, oh gee, I should probably do it on both sides. But that pretty much wraps it up for the green, and of course there I'm getting it all over the cement, but that's of little consequence. Okay, so now we're going to do some bright red, and going to paint those bows. I was kind of amused editing it that, usually I put a little transition in between the video segments, but I went ahead and did it in here, and you might see a little jump, but I was amused, but because I'm painting this so quickly that I actually didn't see any change. I think the little yellow debris on the bottom right-hand corner moved a little bit, but it's one of the nice things about having that setup. Things don't move around if you don't touch them. And here I think I'm talking in a little bit that, I really don't know if that's ribbon or ribbon bow, whatever it is. Or if it's, here I dropped it on there, and so I had to repaint where the paint rubbed off, and there's like 2 little dots on my painting mat. And I drop it on the other side. Hurry, 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 rush, rush, rush. Have no audio. Yay. And with that one done, we switch to the next one. And basically the same thing. I wonder how many times I'll drop this one. And one thing I regret here is that the inside of the wreath, I didn't paint like some brick painting, some brick showing through. But then again, I don't think there was anything actually modeled there, and I do cover it up with a super secret ingredient towards the end, so not really that important again. I think here I'm clearing my throat, but I had the bright idea, since I've got the bright red on here, to go ahead and paint the Christmas ornaments, the little glass balls, all the same color. And I did the little intro video first, or not first, at the first. I did it after this, and I used 2 different color ornaments. And now thinking about it, gee, maybe I should have done all red, that way it looked like the Christmas tree we painted. I painted. And I'm not trying to make this look super fancy or anything at this point. It'd be kind of interesting to see just how ornate and detailed you actually could make this Dollar Tree item, but I'm not really interested in wasting my time doing that. But anyway, one thing I did discuss is that, I was wondering if I should make all the balls different colors, but decided just on a solid one. Our Christmas tree itself has lots of different colored glass ornaments, but I decided, no, we'll just go with red for this one. And so that's what I do. I think I'm looking around for more of the locations that the balls might be, because I'm sure it's just a real round divot that they smashed into the clay when they were making the figure. And what you've missed in the little segment there, and I guess I didn't show it, is I'm using a very sky blue, and I was just shaking the bottle and putting it on the palette. And this is the start of the super secret setup. And, you might be able to guess what I'm going to do here. And I'm painting this really thick on here. And thinking at some point I realize I might want to switch brushes, but no, I think I switched to a larger brush, and I was talking about that off camera. So, like I said, not having the audio really screws with my having audio cues to guide me on this. You really see that's really thick paint, but pretty much no other way to get over that green. Of course, I'm leaving little marks all over the place. And now we're going to do the same thing on the little brick walls. And this is one reason I didn't care that I was getting it on that top slab very much, because I knew I was going to paint over it with this color. And so it kind of cleans up the edges quite a bit. And I notice I've got blue paint on my left thumb there. Surprised I don't stamp my fingerprint all over the figure. And I didn't try to keep it off the sides, because there is a reason for it. And it didn't really matter if it was going to be there or not. Nothing really to tell much on this part. It's just one big long thick paint stroke after another. And again, then I decided, I was going to paint the top of the lamp. So this kind of cleans up the black on there a little bit. So really kind of surprised how well this blue covered, but again, like I said, it's straight out of the bottle. It's not thinned or anything like that. And since we have time and at the time I think I was just trying to pad out that, but I didn't think a lot of time had passed anyway. So I was going to just go ahead and paint this one too. And this one was really sloppy, so you can see that green line cleaned up quite a bit when I painted this blue on there. Again, nothing really to talk about, so hope you've enjoyed your Christmas. And hidden paint job, yay! I have a plan to try something. You know, I got a tablet computer for Christmas. It's Microsoft Surface 2. So I thought, you know, it's got a USB plug. I'll just plug the USB camera in to it and record from there and see what happens. But I'm not going to mess around with things until I've got this video done. And, you know, it might help a lot because if you followed me a bit, you know that the computer is behind me, and so I've actually got a mirror that I look through to see. Oh, and here I squished a little bit of the dried paint and popped the little bubble it was in because I found a couple more little bulbs that were not painted on the top. And invisible transition there. So, what are we going to do at the bases here? Hey, fake snow. This is some, I don't even know if it's Woodland Scenics, but it's basically shredded styrofoam, like white fluorofoam. And I've just got some glue straight out of the bottle, but this is Elmer's glue. But it was, you know, kind of thin for what I remember. It's Elmer's glue, all that maybe has something to do with it. But I was surprised how thin it was, and you know, initially I went ahead and thinned it some anyway, and put it in there, and just kind of tried to squish it on, because first look it looked absolutely horrible. And it still looks absolutely horrible. So you know what? Let's try it with some. This is where I take some more glue out of the bottle and I just put it straight on the palette. I don't try to water it down. So you hear me shuffling around and trying to get it. And I'm running out of things to dry my brush off on this. And so we pick it up, and I think I try to use, yep, there we go. I grab the second block wall and decide to use that thicker glue on it, but it's really not that much thicker. No, okay, I actually use the tree then. Try the same thing, squish it on, and I get gross. That's not what I wanted it to look like. It's kind of sad. I've got like a bucket of this stuff, and it's just really not appropriate for anything. So this isn't working. So at this point I decide, well, it just maybe needs a little bit thicker glue, and maybe squish it on there more or something. But that's, was really disappointed with the way that looked. That's not the way I wanted it to be. So that's dried a little bit, so let's try a little bit more. And no, that's still garbage. So I'm trying to think of what to do here. And of course I decide, well, I'll just carry on maybe the second time will be good. Try to get the top slab. And I have no idea why I thought the second time would work any better. So here I'm just kind of knocking off the center stuff, but it didn't really work either. At some point in here, there's going to be a long stretch, and this may actually be it, where I go around and I'm opening cabinets and slamming cabinets. I swear I have some glass microbeads somewhere. But then again, maybe I don't. So I've got, a cabinet full of basing supplies, and I've got a whole lot of glitter that I intended to, well, for my son's kindergarten birthday party, I made these little treasure chests and used the glitter to make like little jewels inside the chest. And so I've had those for like 7 years now. I know I'm rambling, and I think I actually say in here that I should cut this out, but the software is not working well. Anyway, I think I give up finding the microbeads because I thought it was in there with the glitter and all that stuff, and shuffled it around, never found anything. So I'm find a bottle of something else, and this maybe will work. Let's see if I pull it out here in a second. Yeah, almost. There we go. Yeah, baby powder. Yeah, baby powder would work, right? Yeah, it's worth a try. I've got an extra thing, which I'm applying glue off the screen with. I guess there's a concept for my painting videos from now on, is I'll record the audio as normal, and then I can criticize it afterwards. So here I am putting the baby powder on, and I'm looking at that, and it's not pretty. It might work, but it's not looking good, and it's not gluing on very well, and it's just powder everywhere, and it's just kind of blah. But nonetheless, I continue to try to get it to work. I get it off screen to try to get it on there better, and meanwhile I'm making a mess of my painting mat, and I'm desperately trying to get this to work because I don't want to have to do something else. I'm using the end of again, just powder everywhere. I've got this really stiff brush now, and decide, well, maybe I can do it like weathering pigments. So yeah, that should work, and just it's not working. It is not the effect I wanted. More or less purely panicking at this point. So what to do? I decided, well, maybe a smaller brush would work, and so I pick an old painting brush that I've got, and you know what, it didn't work either. So I decided, well, I'll stop the video and go and look for the microbeads. Okay, I don't know if I've cleaned up the mat or not. I think I've swept it off, but we have a new candidate for good snow. I have no idea what I'm doing off screen, by the way. I may be explaining that I searched for the microbeads, but I did wipe off all that shaved plastic or whatever it's called. maybe good for train modeling, but it's not good for gaming figures. So, and I've let this is very shortly after I did the other stuff. So the glue has dried a little bit on my palette that I use. So it's a little bit thicker, so I think maybe that'll help. But here comes the baking soda, and I rub it on really good. I'm trying to get it up underneath the tree quite a bit. I'm trying not to stick my fingers in it just yet. And yeah, I think it's actually the effect I was looking for. So I think some people will say that baking soda will brown over time. So that's one thing to try to avoid, maybe. But I realized too while I was doing this that if I did have the little glass microbeads, that for a dollar store item I might not want to put that dollar's worth of glass beads on here. But we got this, and my panic is subsiding at this point, so I'm actually enjoying doing the big fluffy snow. And the nice thing about baking soda is it's crystals, and so it actually looks sparkly and looks fresh. And again, I don't know what I'm going off screen for. What'd I get? I don't know what I got. Maybe I was coughing again. And so I'm getting that slab and a little bit on the sides, kind of dripping. And then I decided, well, I'll put a little bit on top too. And I think this is where I tried dipping it in upside down. It's like, that's not working. That sort of works, but not really. And so, I'm just flicking off the snow and not really working that well, so I decided to try to get the top a little bit better. And I rubbed that synthetic brush on there, and kind of ices over almost. And that's not too terrible of effect either, so I try to do a little bit more with it. And I think I'm just, trying to do other things. And a little bit in the wreath, all over my finger. That was what I was trying to avoid doing. God, it seems like the video's sped up like 1 1/4 speed, but no, that's actually how it's working. So let's see here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the pillars now. And I thought about trying to put some on the top of the lamp, but realized if I'm doing a gas lamp, that's going to be the part that melts the first anyway as it warms up. And again, trying to I'm wiping my fingers off so they're dry. And just taking a pinch and sprinkling it on. Probably not the best way to do it, but I don't have much of another way. Had to put it back in the center. But, after doing that, I'm fairly pleased with the way that looks, too. Well, I think I talked about the little crusty stuff on top, but a little too much, so I just brush it off a little bit. And we go ahead and do the next one. And it's got the baby powder on it still. I think I tried rubbing off as much as I could. You know, especially where the glue was, it stuck pretty hard. I realized, oh yeah, I need to do the inside of the wreath just a little bit, which I realized too is the brick. The brick wouldn't show through after I put the snow in anyway, so it's not that big a deal. I'm not entirely sure why I'm applying glue while it's sitting in the little blister back, but I guess it doesn't really matter. And more pinches, and I think I complained once or twice that, you know, my paintbrush was wet from me trying to clean it off good. So of course I'd stick my fingers in the powder and it would get into a paste, but we get in there and get all the corners and such and brush it off. And I'm not too terribly displeased with it. Again, brushing off the top of that, trying to get it cleaned a little bit, but also at least this way it'll match the other one quite a bit. And you go ahead and do a little bit more on the corner where I missed. And here I decide, you know, the Christmas tree needs a little bit because it's going to have some snow on it. And I'm thinking, you know, just do it here and there. You know, just spot there, spot there. You know, try not to cover up the ornaments. Because if the snow did cover up an ornament, then there's no real reason to paint it. And of course this, where I realized, gee, you know, well, in a second I realized, gee, I should have probably put this on something, because now I need to get my fingers off the, you know, the tree shape and onto the base. But if I put my fingers on the base, yeah, there we go. That's not going to work. So let's just quickly do a temp base so I can hold it. Yeah, that's a lot better there. Yeah, this way I can get around the bottom. Don't have to do this twice. And of course I paint off the screen. I really like to extend my camera out, but then I'd be hitting it with my head constantly too. So, you know, there's just no good way for me to do this, it seems. So getting the powder up and just sprinkling it all over. Of course the powder will come off of the spots where I don't have glue. And of course I'm off the screen again. But you know, it's so interesting anyway. There we go, back centered as I glance to the left and look at the mirror. After this is all done, I actually take the mat off my table. It's underneath 2 lamps and all my paints and palettes and water, so it's kind of a pain to clean this. And here I decide, you know, the tip of the tree really needs a lot more snow, so I'm going over and making sure the tip is completely covered. And found a couple more spots where it really didn't coat very well. But in general, that's all it is. And done with those and done with that. And so, I sit here and say my goodbyes and thanks you for watching, all that other fun stuff. But then I realize, you know what, those lamps look bad. So I decide that I will go ahead and do the same thing to the base of the lamps. Just so that, they all look similar. And I've already done a couple and, oh yeah, I might want to record that. So there's the lamps all done. And of course, one's off. But anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the afterward narration. Have a good day.